Hey guys, so this is a video talking a bit more about our matching process and what's going to be different in 2023 compared to what we did in 2022. I think 2022 was about taking the same technology that was available to Fortune 500 companies, or only available to those companies, and making it available to the advertisers. Whereas 2023 is about inventing our own identifiers to be able to absolutely obliterate what is the industry standard. So we're going into more of a proprietary data and matching type of area in our company, which is really exciting. So this is where things get super, super exciting. So let's go into the old, more traditional way. And this is probably, I would say, like 99%, 99.99% of identity resolution companies would be matching, right? Minus probably not as much device level data, but I'll put that in here anyway. Anyway, so this is the old way specific to AdsLab, but a lot of people following the same methodology. And essentially what we have here is obviously got our pixel, and when we get traffic, we pull what's called an MD5. Now an MD5 is just basically like a anonymous identifier based on that device. The thing is that, somebody could go on a certain amount of devices, right? So a lot of these MD5s is pulling from different devices, and it's hard to find which one is the actual person. So that's why, say for an example, the old method, you might have somebody that is in the family but wasn't actually on that device, right? So the MD grabs the MD5, and this goes to a household level data and a device level data table. All right, and this allows us to be able to see, okay, so where was that MD5 attached? Like, where is that device? Okay, is it more so on the device level, or is it more so on the household level? When I say device level, that's the specific device they use, and the household level is like, what pool of households? Is it desktop computer or something like that, right? Then that matches to the consumer table, which has like all the consumer parameters, about 270 million parameters, and you get your identity. Okay, so that is a very reliable way of matching. And I would say this is above the industry standard, because usually this goes to just a device level or just a cookie table and so forth. I mean, this is guys that know this. I don't want to go too complex. So, some people might be like,
what about the HTML tag? What about this?
I'm not putting that in here just for the sake of like this video could get too intense. So that's the usual way of matching. So this is the new way. And essentially where we're coming into the proprietary stuff, which is pretty cool. And although this seems simple, this is quite complex. All right, so the new way is we have our own audience lab identifier. Now, this is something that we're working on for a while, of how we can achieve the best possible match rate. All right, so we've got about, would say 3 layers or 3 tables, so to speak, in terms of how we're actually picking up our identifiers. And it goes from the device level to the household level, and then it goes into the cookie level. Okay. Now, here's the issue about cookies, right? A lot of people say, hey, a cookie's going away. What's happening with cookies, et cetera, et cetera. And the short answer is a lot of providers and a lot of identity resolution companies are relying on a set company or a set vendor, which everybody's using, in order to be able to get their cookies, right? There's only so many cookies around, and they're relying on these cookies to be able to track. So that's why match rate on cookie-based matching is so low. Usually when you just use cookies, it's anywhere, when we've tested it, anywhere from like 10%, maybe you'll get up like 15, but I would say it would sit around the highest like 10% mark, right? So that's cookie matching. Now the alternative is IP matching, and that's more on the household level. Now this will get you a way stronger match rate, like you'll match a lot higher. However, you may have people that come into that audience that shouldn't be there because they're part of the family or they're part of that cluster, okay? Now you're still gonna get a good match on the people. However, you don't wanna have people that you didn't originally intend to have in there. And then we've got the device level, and this is by far the most accurate, however, the hardest to put together, okay? Now, each of these have their own benefit, but when you combine them, that's when things really start cooking. So I'm going to go for each one of these. So first of all, we've got a device level. So this is an actual table we've built out of all the devices in the United States, or as many as we can possibly get. I can show you an example of what a device looks like and how that works in another video, but that is on the device level. So that's like, are they using an iPhone? Are they using an iPad? What are they using, right? Then we've got more stuff on the household level. Now, household level is where you get better matches, but it's a little bit broader strokes in terms of like, we know that it's this family using these devices, but we don't know the exact device. So we don't want to target somebody when it was somebody's wife who was, on their computer, because password sharing and things like that. The next thing here is the cookie pool. And this is what we're very, very, very excited about. Because as I mentioned before, cookies, it's an obsolete way of tracking the way people do it currently, right? The way people do it is, if you could say, let's say for an example, this is like all the cookies here, right? Most identity resolution companies and most providers, I would say, attacking like this subsection. I'll probably put about here, this subsection of cookies, right? Because they're only working with there's probably 3 main providers that provide all the cookies. And that's just as is. Whereas what we've done is we've essentially built up our own cookie pool, working with hundreds of different aggregators, and actually not so much, I would say, like vendors as it were, but more so like actually dealing with the aggregators that are sending out the emails and they're managing this data. So this has allowed us to really kind of go, okay, let's go for this one. But let's also see if we can go here and here. So we just kept doing that, and we kept collaborating and joining different networks where we would deal with it to be able to make sure that we were getting as many cookies as possible. So that is the difference between what most companies do and what we're doing now. Is we've basically, instead of just going for this one circle here and being happy with it, we've gone over here and created all these different spots and subsections of cookie pools to create one massive cookie pool, which we're super pumped about. All right, so this is why that's important, because what happens is when we get an identifier, when we get an identifier from the Ads Lab identifier and Audience Lab, it comes through here and it goes through these 3 tables. So it goes on a device level, like what device they're using exactly. Then it goes through more in the household level in terms of like where they're located and is the location right. Then it looks at the actual cookie pool, and this is where it comes down to like, is it the exact person, right? And this is where we get even more granular. So these 3 things are like the perfect match. Right? So just that alone is game changing, and we're super excited about it. I mean, it's quite a simplified version here, but basically we've combined so much data from different aggregators, and something that, to be honest, you can't really just go out and buy, right? We had to put this together through some pretty strategic partnerships, which I only believe was available from having such a influential board of directors that we have on the team. So we're able to put that together, and now we've got this little thing here, and this is the scoring algorithm. So what's really cool is not only are we able to see what device people are on and then match that with our cookie pool and household level data, but we're able to see the usage of that device, right? So we're able to see like the frequency in terms of how often it's used. We're able to see like in terms of like how it's used compared to other devices. We're able to see a bunch of stuff there. Now, I'm not going to go to the exact algorithm because it's going to be way too complex, but essentially what we have is a number of different points. We have a point system for every device that we track, and that allows us to be able to have a system to say, okay, so this is all the devices that we've been able to find this person on. What's the device they're using most, right? So let me explain. Let's say, for an example, my wife is using my phone, she's using my credit card or something like that, and basically it's matching me, not her, right? And what we want to do is we want to be able to figure out who is actually using the device based on usage and match that up. So it's probably a longer explanation there, but essentially what it allows us to do is get an exact match, right? So an exact match of here is the exact device that person's using based on the household level, based on the device level, and then also filtering through in terms of our cookie pool, right? Then what we do is we take that device, okay, and this is still, I would say, anonymous at this point. This is still basically saying this is exactly who the person is. But then what we do is we have so much consumer data now in terms of the raw consumer, and then we also have things we're getting through different feeds, like a keyword feed I explained in the other video. We match across all these tables and we uncover exactly who it is, their name, email, and it's accurate. It's more accurate than I would say about 90% of other solutions. So essentially that is how we are rolling things out in 2023, and I'm super excited about it. We've already started testing with a bunch of people. It's looking really good, and yeah, that's how we're really rocking the boat and changing the game in 2023.